Right, let's go ahead. Let's crack on with this. Let's go ahead. So first things first. Let's familiarize ourselves with the chat. I think as the world has changed over the last 5 weeks, we all know Zoom intimately. But let's familiarize ourselves with the chat. What I'd like you to do is throughout the course of this webinar, I have my colleague Sam, whose picture you can maybe see. And Sam's going to be collating any questions you've got. So I want to encourage you to fire questions in on the chat, and then he kind of anonymizes them and reads them out in the questions and answers. So don't feel under pressure that you've got to say something or whatever. The whole point of this is quite relaxed and quite easy. So all you've got to do, if you just think of something, oh, that's interesting, just tell me more about that. Just fire it into the chat. At that point, Sam will collate it, and at the end, he'll run through and not name names or anything. We'll keep it nice and simple. If you want to talk about it more, we've got lots of time later on. I don't expect this will be running for 2 hours. That's quite a long time for a physical, for a face-to-face like this. So we'll keep it quite short and sweet. And when everybody's done, we're done. Let's knock it on the head. So, okie dokie. Let's crack on. And I will, I'll have to let anybody else in that comes in. So today is, it's a shame really, because we would have liked to have met you all face to face in our office in Leeds. So today is an introduction to marketing automation. And the first thing is, my slides, by the way, are quite wordy. Now, don't worry about that, because the aim is that at the end of this, there's a QR code that you open your smartphone and you scan, and you can download it. So hopefully what I'm going to do is give you a little bit of something you can take away. So without the words, it wouldn't make sense later. So also the webinar is being recorded. So not everybody's got time to sit and wait through a webinar again, but for those that weren't able to make it, we can show you that. But this is quite a helpful guide. So we're going to cover a few topics today. We've got 5 essential sort of objects on there. So key things we're going to discuss. But first of all, the thing that you would have experienced is, if you'd have come to see us in Leeds, is you would have met us as a team. So you might be familiar with this building. It's opposite Crown Point Road. It's on Crown Point Road, opposite TK Maxx. So where the Crown Point Real Estate is, and the Tetley Brewery would be just to your left on that screen there, and that's us. And we've been in there for 7 years. We've been in business for 10 years. Over the last 3 or 4 years, we've really, really grown. So we're now supporting around about 4,000 marketeers throughout the UK now. So we've definitely grown to be one of the largest with a foothold in the UK. We're not the largest. There are obviously bigger players, but we send around about 190 million emails on behalf of our clients. We work with quite a lot of, a large breadth of Leeds and West Yorkshire businesses. Obviously, it's where our home is and our heart is. So we really, really like to work with you guys and welcome everybody into the office to try and talk to us and show you around and get to know you. So shame we couldn't do that this time, but next time maybe. Now, okay, before I get started on automation, there's a couple of things that I always sort of try to ram down people's throats. And this isn't about marketing automation. This is about me as a marketeer, or you as a marketeer. And this is about how we live our lives and what we believe in. So the first one is, I have this statement, which is, I make the difference. I am the glue. I am the magic, and I am the energy. It is proven organizations that are marketing led are more successful than those that are sales or any other function led. So the point being that the marketeer has the power, the marketeer has the reins, and I have to remember that. And I do, and I embody those principles. And I have sorry, this is so frustrating. There is a slide missing. The slide should have said, there are a few simple rules that I now need to follow. And those rules are, I must be passionate and energetic. If I am passionate and energetic, my vibes reverberate around the business and people look to me for support. Rather than pushing me to do things, I'm the guiding light. The other point that I always talk about is the fact that you cannot accept second best in anything that you're doing. Whenever, as a marketeer, my belief is the results that I get are down to the output that I create. And if I'm not happy, just like Gordon Ramsay wouldn't be happy serving a substandard plate of food, I should not be happy if an email, a paid search ad, a banner, whatever it may be, didn't deliver exactly what I wanted it to deliver. So I have a thing called the squint test. And the squint test is where I sit back in my chair when I'm looking and appraising anything that I've done. I look back and I squint at it. And if I squinted it and the message pops out at me, it's good enough. It's good to go. If it doesn't, it's back to the drawing board. And that's really difficult sometimes for me to do because I might have created the advert. I might have created the email or whatever. But the point that I want to make is where certain brands online in this industry from Silicon Valley will tell you that if you download an email template, you'll start to succeed. That is not true. We know that. We know that if we want to succeed as marketers, we want our brand to succeed, we must be passionate and energetic. We must recognize that we're the difference, we are the glue, and we are the magic and the energy. And settling for second best won't send me the direction that I want to go. So a couple of little bits that I like to do. Cover off before we get started. The next thing is, again, it's sort of an automation principles piece. It's start by looking at the definition. And the definition of what automation is, it's basically automatically reacting to a contact information presented via many input channels. And that's quite a broad topic, and it's purposefully vague. So what we're not saying there is that automation is all about sending email. It really isn't. Automation is about understanding your data, analyzing data, and automating my marketing processes. Yes, one of those things obviously is sending emails, but there's so much more behind it. But so the general broad definition is automatically reacting, and that's the important word, to contact information presented via many input channels. What kind of input channels? Well, obviously we have the CRM data that's polling into us. We're pushing, sales guys are adding contacts, changing things. Everything's happening through CRM. And as sales guys are having conversations with people, surely that should be influencing my marketing. So that kind of information is key. We've got web engagement data. So as I browse online, no longer should I stand for marketing intel ending at the click. The click is the beginning of the journey, not the end of the journey. So web activity, as we watch people browsing certain products, we should be categorizing them in appropriate ways, whatever it may be. Form capture, people filling in the forms to apply for events, things like this. And the fourth final piece is time. And I'll come on to that in a moment because time's one of the key factors. Now, how can we react? So part of the statement was reacting. So how can we react? Well, obviously there's lots of things we can do. We can send an email, we can send an SMS message, brilliant. We can send a letter, we can make a phone call, or we can segment data. So what I'm saying there is that actually most of the automation that we produce in our own account is more about segmenting data and making our lives easier as marketeers rather than just sending out emails. So we've covered that sort of basic principle, and I want to now talk to you about what we call the human argument. So the human argument says we know if we are going to talk to you, we have to reiterate the same point 6 times. That's the golden rule, and emails are classic for that. I have to touch you 6 times in order for you to recognize my message and have absorbed the qualities that I want you to. And going back to my previous statement about being passionate and energetic and empathetic, you must actually have been able to have given a message that I can consume. So one of the ways that we talk about doing this is we say, we always favor the use of a campaign object. And a campaign object says that this is our big idea for a short period of time. And we're going to talk about this particular campaign object 6 times. And we've developed a human argument to help you build those 6 ways to talk to people. So you can't say the same thing 6 times, that'd be silly. But I've got to come at it from different angles. And this is that. And I can put this into an example for you that we do all day, every day. I'll show you in just a second. So number 1, we introduce the offer, the service, the product, whatever it is. We then introduce a social proof mechanism. Social proof is obviously businesses, people who did this, did that, enjoyed this, didn't do, whatever. Next thing is gain. We introduce gain. Gain is what do I stand to gain from doing what I'm asking you to do. Fear is what happens if you don't do this? What happens if you don't and you don't ever act on this information? How's the world going to change and how's that going to affect me? logic puts them together. And the final piece is urgency. Urgency is one of those parts of marketing that are critical. Unfortunately, in a world where I have a product set which is permanently being manufactured or a service that is permanently on offer, how can I create urgency? And urgency is unfortunately the biggest puller of any of the campaigns. So the negative aspects, our brains are more hardwired to listen to, but unfortunately we can't just be negative all the time. We must be positive. So let's put this into a human example, and you can relate to this because you will do this all day. But in marketing, we don't. Why? So, okay, I'm going to invite you all to the pub. So the first thing I'm going to do is say, hey, would you like to come to the pub? No answer. Okay, no problem. Well, look, John's coming to the pub. You like John, so let's go to the pub and John's coming. Still no answer. Again. Okay, listen, John's coming. I'll buy you a pint. I got a pint on me. It's on me. Brilliant. Okay, next one, fear. Fear is, oh, well, you remember last time we all went out and John got absolutely wasted and it was so funny and you missed out on all that. Fear, missing out. Okay, logic, put it all together. Hey, come on, let's go to the pub. I'll buy you a pint. John's coming. You remember what happened last time you didn't come? And the final point is urgency. Come on, get your coat, we're off. And that get your coat, we're off, is that most powerful message to get people to act now. Like, for example, the webinar starting in 5 minutes. So webinars and downloads and things like that are a great asset for you to have in your arsenal, because what it does is it means that you can have a finite time when you can turn that off. So it goes normal messaging, moves into urgency, and that's where all the joy comes from. But again, you can't do that having not covered the prior steps. I can't just say, come on, get your coat, we're off. Where are we going? What are we doing? I wouldn't go. So that human argument is so important. And by all means, take that, use that, and adapt it. We've written many guides on this, by the way. It's all on our website in our content lab. Now you've signed up for these webinars, you get instant access to download any of the content on our content lab. But that's a really great example of how it's important to touch people many times. So then that leads into automation. And if we think about it, if we're sat in our marketing ivory tower and we're doing things manually and we're not using the robots and the machines to do this kind of thing, or even if we are using the machines, but we're still doing it manually, that's where things fall down. Because whenever I see a marketeer that's connected to the wheels, as I say, and connected to the wheels means that I'm scheduling campaigns and I'm executing everything, you're falling down. Because the point is, marketeers that aren't doing this, they build it in one go, they let it execute, they focus on other stuff. It's all about time saving. And it's all about saying, in today's world, you've got to be efficient. If you're not efficient, your brain isn't focusing on the right things. I'm messing around uploading spreadsheets into MailChimp, or I'm doing all this. Well, all that stuff's going on. Other marketeers are focusing on the big idea, the messaging, the important stuff that we get people engaging with us. So let's have a quick look at that. So I'm going to slide not that way, that way. And what I'm going to quickly do is show you this, because I'll move on to some common mistakes now. And what I'm going to show is that this is our automation engine. And the automation engine is designed to be, let me just move this blocky thing out the way. There we go. Super. So the automation canvas is all about me putting my ideas down here. And the first thing that I want to talk to you about is, we as a business recognize that anybody sat with either one of the products from Silicon Valley, or the HubSpots of this world, Marketers of this world, will know the frustration of not having the support or the training, or having to figure it out themselves, or using a knowledge bank. That's not how we operate. We're in Leeds and we give free training and support for life on a 2-minute SLA, Monday to Friday, 9 till 5:30, for every one of our customers. So it doesn't matter whether you can figure this out. As long as you can verbalize it, we can help you. But look, let's just run through it. So I drag on a start audience or a trigger condition, and that start audience or trigger condition can reference any of the data points in my CRM, the website, or whatever or anything that we've done to them in the past. So I could do something like, right, okay, get me everybody in my marketing list. We have a concept of data segments called lists or marketing lists. My hot customers. Oops. Customers, right, okay. And now what I want to do is I want to find everybody that's in my hot customers, but let's find everybody that's in Leeds. So we'll just go to wherever it is, address city 221 equals Leeds. Oops. That is not registered for this webinar. And I can build these out. I can't remember what the name of the list for this is, but there we go, that'll do. So I can build out these trigger audiences, which are about me. This is who I want to send to. And the point is, I'm sat here today, right? And these conditions are only relevant at the point of execution. So it's not like I've just downloaded a spreadsheet of people and that's it. And now these are the only people I'm going to be working on. No, I've just set a condition. So at the point when I turn this campaign on, anybody who meets that condition will go through that journey. So it's always on. So the obvious win here is the fact that the sales team are doing stuff all day long. We're collecting new contacts all day long. And actually, why, if I've got a 3-week campaign running, people that are collected in that 3 weeks, why shouldn't they run through it as well? So we start and define our trigger point, or our start audience, and from our start audience, we say, right, what are we going to do? Well, let's talk about the obvious one. Let's do email. So we say we're going to send them this email, and we select an email template. And I'm going to show you some email in a moment because there's some cool stuff around personalization and how to personalize that really works. I'm going to give it a subject line. I'll make anything up. Okay, bingo. All right, so I'm going to send these guys an email. Brilliant, that's the email that I want. But I don't want it to go just yet. I want it to go next week. So I can either delay for a period of time or delay for, until a specific day, or I can delay to appropriate time or day of the week. So I can say, whoops, I don't want any emails to go out on Saturday and Sunday, so I can remove those. And I only want my campaigns to roll between 8 AM and, I don't know, maybe say 5 PM or 6 PM. And I can also say, look, we've got a contact center and we don't want people to get too busy in the contact center. So I'll only allow 500 emails an hour out during those periods, whatever. Again, this is the power of automation, not just doing things on your own. And you drag that, connect that up to there, drag that, connect that up to there. Not rocket science so far, yeah? But then actually all I've done is the same as what I could have done in MailChimp, but just not had to mess around with the data. So then what I do is I say, okay, so now comes the crunch point. I now need to make a decision, don't I? I need to say, right, I sent that email. Is it appropriate to send the next stage in my campaign, the next stage in my human argument? So what I do is I just drag on, or I'll copy that existing delay object. And I say, right, let's just delay for, I don't know, 4 days. But again, if that happens to fall on a weekend, I want to wait till Monday. So there we go. So I'm going to drag that there, pop that there, and I'm going to make a decision. And a decision is where all of a sudden I say, I can now pin these decisions to what happened in that previous email. But that's not actually a good idea. And it's one of the things that we find a lot of people making common mistakes with automation. They pin the outcome of the emails on what happened in the prior email. And that's not a good idea. If I opened or clicked, doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. My objective on that prior email was to get you to read this guide or download this guide or whatever. So the open and click is irrelevant. Did you do it? That's the bit that matters. So my make decisions, yes, can be based on which emails I've clicked, but that's not what I want you to focus on. The smart marketeer says, look, did you actually download the guide, whichever guide URL, .pdf, whatever. Did you physically download it? If so, great. Are you now a customer, or did CRM update us and tell us that you're in current discussion? Oops. You're in a current discussion. So if you're in a current discussion, or you downloaded the guide, sorry, that's an or, we'll end the journey for you because you're done. Sales team are talking to you, everybody's happy. But for the rest of you out there, let's just go with another email. So let's go with now, this will be the social proof email. So I'll just pick any email for now. Don't worry about that. And so on, so on, so on. Now, within this environment, we can do things like split testing, and we can do things like SMS. So we can send an SMS to somebody saying, oops, saying, where's it gone? There we go. Saying, I can turn the replies on. Hi, first name. Oops. Reply yes for a chat after the Leeds Digital Festival. So marketing text message, we can manage marketing or transactional. Always put it up there. And I have used these decision objects to then look for the presence of the yes, whatever I need to do. So quite simple. Oops. Reply message equals yes. Where is reply message equals yes? There it is. Get rid of that. Okay. So now if somebody replies to my text message, I can send them an email, I can send them another text message. I can manage actions, and these actions are all about adding people into data segments, removing people from data segments. So this keeps my data in check. So let me just quickly look at this. I have a your data, which is a view of my data, and the objective of automation is, imagine if you've, as a marketeer, set up lots of perpetual audiences and saying, look, these are my demographics. And what I want to happen is automatically, when sales teams are updating, when people are browsing the website, we automatically put them in that audience or take them out of whenever that becomes no longer the case for that particular user. So obviously within the Force24 platform, we're tracking the entire web activity for all the users and scoring them. I'm going to come on to scoring in a moment. I can't show you this in much detail because I think it's a bit of a breach. So we don't want to go too deep into that right now, but anybody on a one-to-one basis, we can show you that your particular records, not a problem. So automation in its simplest form removes me from the wheels, like I say. So I am all about doing something once, building a flow, letting it execute while I focus on other things. I then come along and I duplicate that flow, and I do it again for the next campaign. So I'm just getting quicker and quicker and quicker all the time. So let's have a look at some common mistakes. So a lot of people that start with this, the beautiful thing is, you know, obviously the training and support says that what we'll do is, even if you can't do this, you've got no idea what you're doing here, just drag a couple of bits on and try and get a basic flow going. Then you ask our support team, does that look right? Can we do it? And we'll fix it. And what we find is within the first 2 weeks, most marketeers are sort of dragging and dropping and can get to the point where I've just done there. But with, you know, they make decisions don't make any sense. And, you know, if you start audience might not make sense. But then after that, and when we get to 4 weeks, we tend to find that marketeers have then switched and they can now deploy those make decisions, because what you can do in here is, if you've got a condition set, you actually save it and you can call it at any time in the future. So you don't actually have to remember it. You just save it. And so after 4 weeks, we tend to find marketeers are now embracing this fully. You can do the MailChimp style campaigns where you just bash out an email, give it a subject line and whatever. You can do that. But when you can disconnect from the wheels, this works better. Now, interesting statistic, 100% of Force24 customers utilize the automation engine. And when we transfer people from other products out there, we offer a free migration service from other products, you know, just because it might be a big headache to transfer all of your automation from, you know, HubSpot into Force24. We offer it, we'll do it for you for free. When we actually come to do it, it's the biggest win ever. There's never anything there to actually move because people haven't embraced it and started to do this kind of stuff. So actually, 100% of Force24 customers with that hand-holding, with that free training support, start to do it. So I was talking about the mistakes. So triggering is always on. So here's one of the mistakes that a lot of people make. I set a condition here, and this condition, as long as this journey is turned on, and as long as this journey is active, whenever that condition is met, users will flow through the journey. So I need to be aware of that. And quite often, one of the biggest mistakes that we find that people don't do is they don't turn the journeys off when they're finished with them. One of the things that we did to try and help that was we set you can disable a journey automatically after a period of time. But the point is that new people coming into this flow after the original date when you set it up, they'll go on the journey as well. And most of the time, that's fine. But it's just a case of saying, look, you need to be aware of this, and that is something that can happen. Or you can lock the audience to a specific group of people, but that's kind of like MailChimp. I want to do this to everybody as they move through this stage in their life. They buy this product, they do whatever it is. Okay, so that was one of the things that we find people doing. Confusion around the delays. Now, a lot of people get confused as to how delay objects work. And I know that sounds really, really simple, but it isn't. Well, it is. Of course, it's simple, but it just takes 30 seconds of explanation. So you've got this whole delay for. So you can delay for a period of days, hours or minutes. So if let's pretend we're doing a retargeting piece. So anybody that goes and looks at our price list page but doesn't submit, or anybody that adds something to their cart but then doesn't then buy. So what we want to do, we don't want to email them instantly or text message them instantly. So what we'll do, we'll stick a delay in there. How long for? 6 hours? Yeah, 6 hours is fine. Brilliant. Well, the next question is, well, what if that 6 hours is at midnight? What if I did it at 6 p.m. in the afternoon and I've set a delay for 6 hours? Well, that's where these send windows come in. And the send window says, look, you know what? It's going to delay for 6 hours, but if when that 6 hours lands, it's not an appropriate time of the day, let's reset it so that our communications are going out at an appropriate time of the day. So Monday to Friday, between the hours of 8 and 6 p.m. Fine. I can add different send windows for different days, different windows throughout the day. So I stop for lunch and I start again, whatever, I can do all that. Or let's pretend the new website doesn't go live until Thursday. Well, I want to load the data in, I want it working, but I don't want anybody to get anything until next Thursday at 9 a.m., whatever. So the delay objects are actually in themselves very, very simple. Now there is another type of delay. So if you imagine you're having a conversation with somebody on text message, a decision needs to be made, but if the decision isn't met after a period of time, it must fail. So here, I'll show you. So if I'm looking for a text message reply, let's say, I have another delay, a delay of 3 days, let's say. So I sent you a text message. Let's pretend that text message was in front of there and actually going into there. I sent you a text message. I now need to wait up to 3 days for a response. If after 3 days, no response, I'll send you to the no branch. But at any time within those 3 days, the instant I see a response, I should move you to the yes branch. So obviously if we're having a conversation with somebody and I've got a decisioning engine behind the scenes, I've got to be able to act instantly. If I see the yes, I'll immediately send another reply to you, or wait up to 3 days until I go into the no branch. Now, a lot of people do get a little bit confused with that. But again, all I've got to do is explain it to you. Not me, but the support team. And then it's like, oh yeah, makes sense now. So that's quite an easy one really. But again, it's just a thing you got to get your head around. The other one is the confusion around decisionings and, or, and not. So this is really cool. Well, I say it's really cool. It's just simple maths, really. It's a bit like BODMAS. So all we've got here is we've got and, or, and not. So and, whenever I use the and operators in automation, what it's doing is it's reducing the audience size. So it's saying you must have done this, and this, and this, and that in order for you to trigger. But the or operator says you could have done that, or that, or that, or that. So it expands the search criteria. The not flips it. So the not, I select the not and the and it turns that into, it'd be, you are not in that marketing list. You are, sorry, not in Leeds, and you are in the Leeds Digital Festival event registrations list. So these and or not, again, it's this is the limit of the complexities. It's really not as scary as people think. It's just maths. It's and that, and that, and that, and I can create groups. And so I might say, you must have done this and this and this. And you must have looked at that page on our website, or that page on our website, or that page on our website, or so on. So I can combine the ands and the ors at this level like this. So it really helps me get granular. So where this tends to come into its own is when I'm analyzing CRM data. So when I've got the data fields here, which match my CRM data fields, and I've got the data coming in here. So has he spoken to one of our sales guys in the last 6 months? No. Okay, that's fine. I want those people. Okay. Has he had a quote for this product? No. Okay. And so you can sort of logically build this out. And what we tend to find is just write it down on a piece of paper first as to what you want to trigger. A lot of the time, we're just triggering a common audience. We're triggering our marketing audience for this sector or that sector. And that's fine. And that's absolutely fine. But where you can get more granular is you can stop sending emails to people that haven't paid their bills in the last 6 months, or you can stop sending emails to people that the sales team are currently talking to, or make sure you adapt the message that you're sending to the people that are currently talking to. Journey flows, this webinar series, yes, this was so what's quite common is the fact that the delay and the decision. So I don't know whether I'll pick on this because it'll embarrass Sam perhaps, but what quite often happens is where we see marketeers making a common mistake, and they do this, they do this. They link straight after an email stage into a decision stage. And what you've got to understand is the way that the system works is it's very fast. It's designed to process huge amounts of data very, very quickly on your behalf. So what that'll do is it'll send an email, and the email might be, did you download the guide? Well, it's making that decision the instant that you've sent that email. So it's no way that anybody's ever going to meet that yes criteria. So everybody will go to the no criteria. So the point being there that you've got to be very, very careful when using that sort of positioning. But the whole point is, like I said, there's only a few small little things that people struggle with. And they're not actually that big a deal. It just needs somebody to explain it to you, which is why we offer the free training and support for life. And the other point is focusing on the opens and clicks. You know, as a journey, let me show you one of ours. This is our nurture. This is our projects functionality. So we can find a project. Here's our journey for our nurture sequence project. Let me find it. So when we focus on the opens and clicks, we get a skewed sense of actually what's happening. So we end up killing lots of data too early in the journey. Look at this. So this is an 8-week nurture sequence. And it's an 8-week nurture sequence, which probably takes about 10 minutes to build, because essentially you're sending an email, you're delaying, you're making a decision. You're sending an email, you're delaying, you're making a decision. Send an email, delay, make it really, really simple. That's a simple nurture sequence. It's just quite repetitive. What you're doing is just changing the emails and the decisions on the back end. So really easy to do. But if we were to start focusing on the opens and clicks, what we'd do is we'd send an email, and we'd be losing approximately 20% of the audience, because that's about our open rate, 20% of the audience to this no decision immediately. Well, nobody's downloaded the guide yet. So why am I killing it on that opens and clicks position? The other thing is opens and clicks right now, we're in a heightened state of marketing readiness. So we're currently observing a 220% mail server volume at the moment at Force24. Now, let me put that into perspective for you. That's bigger than Christmas. So we are at 220% of our normal mail volume, because people are desperate to talk to their customers and their prospects right now. So it's what we're seeing, that everybody else in the world is seeing that. So that means Microsoft, who own 30% of the world's email, Gmail or Google, who own the other 30%, and the rest is split between, you know, Yahoo, BT, and lots of other independent providers. But the big ones are those two. So that means that Microsoft has got a 220% increase in their load right now. So what they're doing is they're scrutineering much more, because they want to protect their recipients. They don't want the recipient to receive more spam, so they have to up the ante, and they have to get more aggressive on spam control. So what they do is they send out spam bots, and these spam bots crawl your links and say, this is a risk of an email. And they check your links, and that registers as an open or a click perhaps. And so you could be making decisions based on a spam bot, potentially. Who knows? There's lots of clever things that we can do within the system to suppress that, but our biggest piece of advice on that is all about base it on what the user did. What was the outcome you asked for? And then make sure that you focus on that. Okay, next thing is lead score. So lead score, again, is a few years ago, in fact, actually, this talks about it. So lead score is very, it's the biggest thing that you, if you don't have right now, should implement today, because it's the thing that generated the biggest difference in the Force24 sales pipeline. What it enables you to do is reach deeper into your pipeline with your sales team. It enables you to categorize your pipeline more effectively and push your sales team deeper into it to a point where it's no longer worth going into it. Now, a few years ago, I was involved in writing a lead scoring algorithm, a huge algorithm for a multinational brand. And it was 15 pages, this particular algorithm, about detailing how to deploy an effective lead scoring methodology. And at the end of it, once we'd written it and we'd deployed it into the system, we said that was a waste of time. That was an absolute waste of time. And what we actually did was we reverse engineered that against the most simplistic model on the planet, and then tried it against each other. And pretty consistently, our simple, easy, quick methodology was the same. So let me explain what that simple, quick methodology is. So there are 3 components to lead scoring, and the score. So obviously you've got the score. The score is incremental, and the scores must be based on. I'll show you what the scores are in a second. Scores are proportionate to the amount of effort required. So clicking an email, not a lot of effort. When I start going and adding things to cart, there's quite a lot of effort required. Therefore, the number of points per action at that level is much higher. The threshold. The threshold is the point in which I tip people into the sales team. So this one, I hope we're going to get some questions on, because this is a really, it's fun, this bit. The threshold is the point in which we tip people into the sales team. The decay, and the decay is one of the most important factors. The decay is how long should those points that I've accumulated today stay on my head. Easy. So simplicity is key. There's 3 simple things. The Force24 platform just does all this, by the way. So right from the off, any account that we've got automatically has lead scoring turned on, because it's that important to us. Right, so here's the example. Every one of the people in your CRM, every one of the people in your marketing list, people in the spreadsheets that you upload to MailChimp, imagine that every one of those people from now on has a number on their head like this. And what it enables you to do is set a threshold and say, right, well, when somebody reaches, say, 40 points, should we try and call them? Let's see what happens. So you pick that guy, and that girl and that guy, and you call those guys and you see what happened. If you get a positive response, you keep doing it, and you in fact lower it and see what happens when you bring these guys in. But then if you don't get a good response, you bring it back up again. So the point is, this really helps facilitate outbound sales, or it helps you reach into the pipeline and power retargeting. So let's go and have a look. Here's an example of what the score metrics can look like. So we pretty much discount an email open as being of any importance. I'd like you to think for me, if you would, back to yesterday and try and remember one single email you received yesterday. And usually the answer is, no, I ain't got a clue. I can't remember any. And that's the point. So there's such little commitment to it. As we go further down the chain, if I physically requested a guide or I physically bought something, I'm going to remember that. That's a goal. So the points are much higher. So then we say, okay, with our lead scoring methodology all set up, what should we do? By the way, the physical setup of the lead scoring methodology, especially within the Force24 platform, it is just literally typing those numbers into some categories. That's it. Then I say, okay, lead score. Right, what am I going to do? Well, in the Force24 world, what we do, if you've got a 0 to 39 lead score, which I'd say most of the people on this webinar have got, we pretty much do nothing. Pretty much just keep you in touch with what we're doing, but we don't really do anything. 40 to 69, now that's interesting, because at 40 to 69, we know you're getting quite warm. So you've done not just what everybody else did, you did what they did, and then some. And then we say, okay, well, we could start digitally retargeting you, so we could send you some emails, or we could escalate you into the CRM for one of the sales guys to give you a gentle call back. But know that it's a gentle callback. Anybody with a job title manager and above, we don't want to be calling people that can't influence the decision at that early stage. But when you reach 70 plus, we expedite it, because you've not just gone and done what everybody else did and a little bit more, you've gone and doubled it. You have doubled down on the activity. So that means that you are quite engaged. And usually we expedite that, and it doesn't matter what contact you're in when that happens. So I now want to put that, why I'm so passionate about this, and please everybody look at the screen for this particular slide. I only want you to take one thing from my talk, only one thing. Which one thing that is entirely up to you, but this bit is important. So this is real life numbers from the Force24 business of how we use lead score to triple our business. So we were converting from people that physically requested to book a demo from us. That was our route in. And in this particular month, we had 124 people across the UK say, yeah, I'd like a demo with you. We know we can convert those at 24%. That's 1 in 4. Which is very high, by the way. And that created 30 pieces of business in that particular month. Well done. Great. Very happy with that. However, for those people that were in a category of lead score between 40 and 70, those mid-level engagers, stands to reason there was 428 people who hadn't yet reached out but had done more than the other people, maybe even looked at the demo page. And we pushed those into the sales team for a gentle touch, and they convert to business at 7%, which guess what? When you take that big number, that came to 30 pieces of new business. The next one was the expedited contacts with 70 plus lead score. 180 people we were able to identify that had that particular lead score profile and above, that weren't yet a customer, that weren't yet in a current discussion, that hadn't yet bought from us or whatever. But they converted at 18%. So why that's cool is because look at the difference. Oops, not look at that. Look at the difference between 24% conversion rate on these guys. They're the ones you're getting right now. They're the ones that you get right now. These are the inquiries that you get right now. This 18% is almost as high. And in fact, in some months, that pretty much levels out. So this is saying that if you're not using lead score right now, you should be, and you could be generating a whole lot more business by just managing that pipeline more effectively. Now, I'm talking about making phone calls here, but that's not what it has to be. We very easily can set these start audience conditions to be based around a lead score threshold is between 1 and 40. I will do this. I will tell you about our values, our brand proposition. I'll talk to you about core values and get you excited about our business. But these guys, these are the ones we recommend you expedite for calls. So you know what? In terms of that was the thing that's made the most difference in our business. The most. You know, in terms of Leeds, you know, as in Leeds, the city. We have sort of grown to an element of prominence a little bit in the marketing communities within Leeds. And I actually put it down to reaching out to people and the successes that we've had. Okay, and the final component of lead scoring is the decay factor. And I've already touched upon this. So the decay factor, to make it simple for you, is it's 30 days. That's it. And that's it for everybody. And some people say, yeah, but our sales cycle is much longer. You know, we sell new cars, or we sell new whatevers, and you know, people can buy a car over the next 3 months, 3 years, whatever. Or we're an engineering firm, and you know, lead scores need to last long. No. Lead score is there to help you through that sales process. Is this guy's lead score going up or down during the sales process? If it's set to a much longer period, you're only going to get the lead score going up or flatlining. Well, flatlining, that's the same as going down, isn't it? So the point about the decay is it's not related to the vertical. It's not related to the industry. It's related to the human brain. And the human brain cannot remember what it did online 30 days ago. Fact. So that no longer should serve as a part of our lead scoring metric, because it's designed to be a temperature today, not temperature that's then warped or skewed if you're in a sales discussion. No, it's a common temperature, just like 20 degrees Celsius is 20 degrees in Spain as it is in Leeds. So it's the same concept. Okay. Next thing that I want to talk about, crikey, are we 15 minutes away to our minute silence? I need a minute silence. Branded Force24 water bottles, by the way. Anybody that wants to pop into the office when things get back, we've got goodie bags and Force24 water bottles to take away. So I now want to talk to you about personalization. So personalization is obviously a big part of the marketeer's day. And this little poke of fun here, Dear First Name is not what it's about anymore. The world has changed massively to me using what that's called token replacement. Token replacement is where I insert a value into the email, the landing page, whatever it is, and it swaps it for your name, whatever. I'm not saying don't do it. Of course, we've got to do it. But that's not what personalization is. Personalization in our world has got two key factors, and those two key factors are what to say and when to say it. So if I say the right thing at the wrong time, it's as bad as saying the right thing, the wrong thing at the right time. So a lot of people put all of their effort into personalizing an email to a plumber to have pictures of pipes in it. What? That's not personalization. That's just putting pipes in an email. No, personalization is twofold. It's you are ready now, and this is who you are, and this is what you should receive. Obviously, the power of personalization is made a lot easier through automation, because let me just show you quickly. On an email campaign, I've just got an email campaign. This is our email editor. Super, super easy to use. Everything that you build through here is totally mobile compliant. Check it on any device. Wonderful. It's one of the things that I love about the product. But it's cool because here's what we do in our emails. So you remember I spoke a while ago about the data segments and how we've always got the data segments coming in from CRM, and everybody's changing and everything's doing things. So people in the data segment should move in and out based on the rules that we set. Okay, again, 5-minute job to set up. So should the email templates. So this is a simple email template, and we have this concept of snippets, and snippets are basically, yeah, I can drag and drop images, text, buttons, whatever onto the canvas, but that's really old school. New school is you build something once and you save it into your library. This is my library of stuff that I use all the time. So you might recognize some of these components from any emails that you receive from us. And what you do is you just build stuff and you just drag it on the build it in here. You then save it in there, so you never have to build it again. Now, the other added value piece to that is the personalization. So let's remember talking about personalization. You can see here we've got first name. Wonderful, great. What I'm going to do now is a bit smarter than that, and I'm going to duplicate that block. So I've got 2 of those on the same page now. I've then got this little eyeball, and this little eyeball says only show that to people that are in my data segment X or Y. And the beautiful thing is, because the data segments are powered by the Journey Builder, and the Journey Builder is powered by any information that you want to get your fingers on, you don't have to build clever algorithms or queries within here, which means that anybody can build your emails to your particular specification for you, your agency, your partner, whoever, and take use of the personalization without having to do development. So you say, show this block when the guy is in a current discussion, which is one of our use cases. So if we're talking to you, we don't say, hey, come and get a demo. We say, hey, did you know that we do this? So we can change that block now to be all about what would we say if we, being sympathetic of our sales guys, we don't want to piss them off, but we also want to support our sales guys, because this sales process might last for months. Therefore, we've got to say stuff to these people, but just not push them into demos. Whereas this group of people, well, this group of people, sorry, just hold on. This group of people, they can, if they are not in that list, they can be pushed demos. So we'll say hide when the user is in the in current discussion. That's a really simple use case. Quite often what we see happening is you can duplicate that as many times as you want. And you can then segment it based on, oh, this is my plumbers, this is my whatevers, this is my whatevers. The point that I want to make here is the key to this product's success is the simplicity. If I gave you this template editor now, and I said to you, okay, give you a 30-minute, not even 30-minute training session on how to build the emails, how to update the content, what to do, how to replace pictures and edit images or whatever. If I gave you a 30-minute training session on that, within that 30 minutes, we'd have built 10 emails. We would have used high-level personalization through token replacement, and then we would have used more intense personalization through that. And that is the power of it. Just so simple. I can just literally roll over the object, select the eyeball, who gets to see it. Now, I know you can do this. Now, I'm also aware that there are more sophisticated platforms on the planet that will do things that are quite similar to that. However, nobody uses it. And they don't use it because it's developer-led or it's data scientist-led or whatever. No, we are the marketeer's friend. If there is any part of this product, the average marketeer who is not a HTML developer, not a data scientist, or is not whatever, can't use, we've missed our job. So we've not done as we wanted. So we can build really personalized emails. The next thing about personalization is the fact that when I send a beautifully personalized email, where am I sending them to? So one of my sort of pet hates is always around the, you know, the not considering the destination. So I'm sending you back to the website. Well, the website's pretty inert. The website doesn't really, it converts at 2%. So I know I can get a landing page to convert at 10%. So I'm missing out on 5 times traffic or 5 times conversions by being a little bit lazy and sending all my traffic to the website. Even worse, sending traffic to a blog. A blog on average converts at 1/10 of the main website. So I can expect if I've got a 2% conversion rate on my website, I'll have a 0.2% on my blog. So that is carnage. So I've done this beautifully powerful email that's gone and really hit the mark, and it's really, really connected with that individual. Triggered through the automation at the right time for you, based on whatever. The fact that you bought this product 12 months ago, now your warranty is due for renewal, whatever, it doesn't matter. But when I then got you to land back at the website was unconsidered. So what I'm going to show you now, this is microsites. So why do we call them microsites and not landing pages? And we've taken some flack over this for the years, and I don't agree with it. So a microsite is a collection of landing pages. A landing page is a page within a microsite. And this is an example of that. So what I want to quickly show you here is, let me see, I think I've already opened some. Okay. So our landing page editor this is a live one. I can't change, well, I can change it, but the point is I don't want to because I'd get into trouble. So just like any other of our products, it's designed to be super simple. I can add bit, I can change bits, easy peasy. I can change pictures. I've got this editor up here, but I've also, just like my emails, got my brand assets. So this is my library of stuff that I build all the time. So we're holding a webinar. I don't want to build this all every time because I mean, you're going to hold loads of webinars. I just want to save that block, drag it and drop it, change the text, change it to say something else. Bingo, I'm done. Super easy. But on top of that, I have the eyeball again. So what you'll see here is, this is the use for this. So let me go back and click on that one. There we go. So this is the live page. And you'll see here that the form is pre-populated with my stuff, obviously. Why would I get you to type it if I don't know what it is? And off I go. I get to register. But what you will notice is I don't see that. And that isn't for thanks for registering. That is if any returning user who is a member of this, who's filled that form in before, comes back to this webinar, they'll see that message that says, thanks, you're already registered. And you see here, we've put first name. So again, just like everything else, you can do hello, hello, insert, and you can insert any value from the CRM and display it on that page. Easy peasy, easy peasy. Sam, make a note of what I changed there, just in case I don't remember what I changed. I'll get rid of that. There you go. So we can use these personalization pieces to really make it effective. And here's another example of that. So after our webinars, we say, look, here, this is one we did, how to build a high-performing integrated campaign. And you can go and download the slides. And when you click on the slides here, it takes you to the actual downloading PDF. Brilliant. But we don't want you to have that if we don't know who you are. So if we don't know who you are, we say, hey, just tell us who you are and you can have the slides. So the point here is the fact that if we know who you are, which is most of the people, well, all of the people on this webinar, you don't have to fill forms in anymore. You just do your actions and that's fine. But if we don't, and you've come from social media or you forwarded the link to a friend or whatever it may be, I say, that's fine. You can have it, but you have to fill the form in. So that makes it fair. So really, really easy. And these things, the whole point of this, again, is the fact I've built this. So what I do is I now save it back into my library and I never have to build it again. It's done. It's there. So all I've got to do is just keep using it and off I go. So the power of personalization is not just about, saying the right thing, but it's actually delivering it at the right time. So what we have at Force24 is an internal guideline. If I'm building an email, it will have personalization to that level. And I will allow 5 minutes for a member of the team to build that email. 5 minutes. Because if you spend longer than 5 minutes building an email, you have over-engineered it. Yes, okay, you've got to spend a lot of time building the creative and the words. That's separate. And you spend as long as you want on that. Physically building the email with the HTML and the personalization and the content replacement, 5 minutes max. That's all you've got. Landing pages, 15 minutes max. Again, all the time in the world, building wonderful words and wonderful images, but you've got 5 minutes max. So the final thing pretty much is reporting. So this is, again, it's something that we always talk about within our customer base, and we say stop looking at emails and clicks and impressions and this kind of thing as being a way to report. There's actually a better way. But at this moment in time, normally we would say as a marketeer, 25% of your effort should be about reporting and understanding reports and analysis of reports. But at this point in time, I don't think that's appropriate with what's going on in the world. And in actual fact, I would rather marketeers right now were ignoring the reporting responsibilities. Obviously, if you're paying for any channels that aren't performing, you have to kill them in your paid search or your display, whatever it may be. But right now, if a marketeer is spending time reporting, it means they're not spending time empathizing and connecting with the audience. And right now, the reports that you get right are skewed. So this is not normal reporting. So all this is going to do is serve to be an interesting read in the future. But it's not to say don't do it. It's just say, you know, you got to keep control of budget, but it's saying normally you should be about 25%. I don't think that's appropriate. But what I do want to do is remind you about something which is appropriate right now, because this, again, is a powerful thing within automation. It's called audience segment reporting. And audience segment reporting is what, if you came to me and said, I'll show you, in fact, rather than just go through the slides. I know I've only got 1 minute until the silence, but I'll show you it. I'm going to click on this one. If you came to me and said, for some reason, we're not gaining traction within a particular audience, or our campaign open rates are falling, or whatever it may be, I'd come here and I'd look at your data segment reports, and I would say, okay, let me just wind these back a little bit and go all the way back for 2 years, let's say. We're very close now. And I'll just let me wind this back a little bit. In fact, guys, do you know what? Let's pause once I've done this, because I don't want to miss this minute of silence. Just a second. Just to remind me, because I'm at 10:59. Okay, but if I was diagnosing this issue, I'm gonna pause it here. Let's have our minute silence in just a moment. Let's start it now, guys. My clock says it's 10:59. So let's pause that now. Okay, guys, we're back. Thank you for observing that moment of silence with me. That's good. I mean, obviously, it's difficult, isn't it, to try and carry on as normal when so much chaos is around us. But again, I think it's important that we try and keep a level and try and keep things focused on what we've got to achieve to keep the world turning. So anyway, back to business. As I was saying before, if somebody comes to me and says, I need to diagnose what's going on in a particular campaign or within an audience set, the first place I come to is this screen. Let me just zoom in a bit better. There we go. And what this is doing is it's giving me a view on the data, not the campaigns. So I stop looking at open rates, click rates, and all that kind of thing because it's vanity metrics. I've got no idea whether you've got a high open rate because you continually remove contacts that don't open, or you've got great contacts within your system. This gives me the reality. So this gives me the truth of the position. So what I can see here is a chart that plots all of the activity for every one of the 14,000 people in our hot customers segment and displays it on a simple chart. So I can see emails sent, which is the prominent yellow line at this end of the chart. You see green, emails opened on a different axis. And what I can see here is I can see here that our mailing profile was unhealthy. We were spamming the audience. We were over penetrating is the technical term. When you over penetrate, it's the same as under penetrating. It means that we're not getting our message across. We get into an inbox lethargy position. People don't care about us. Here you can see that we sustained a long period of the green line sitting prominent, which is very positive, which basically means that we've got a good, healthy relationship with our audience. The blue line here is our web activity line, which tells us that people are looking, but we're not sending emails. So when the green's prominent, I'm happy. When the blue's prominent, I'm not happy. It means I'm under penetrating the base. When the yellow's prominent, I'm not happy. So you can see here, we're in a good place coming back into this time of year. I can also look at what we've got here versus what happened this time last year. Was this a good time last year? But as you can see, look at this period. It's just a mess. That's what I'm saying from a reporting point of view. It's just all over the place. The next thing is lead scoring. Again, you know, I harp on about lead scoring. Point is, right, now look at the lead score, the average lead score as plotted at midnight for everybody in that data segment. The blue line gives me a friendship index, and the friendship index is what tells me whether you're doing a good job or not. So I don't care about your open rates. I'm not interested in that because it wouldn't influence this chart. Now, the cool thing is the lead score, average lead score, is the direct precursor to enquiries. That's amazing. So it means that the higher the lead scores are, the higher the inquiries are. Everything is all positive. So if I sent an email, you see here where the lead scores dipped at this point here on the 11th of November, on the 11th of January, sorry. You can see it's dipped there. If I sent the audience an email then, and then, or in some magical parallel universe, I sent an email at this point here, it stands to reason my open rates and click rates will be different because the engagement of the audience is higher. So when I'm looking at an open rate in isolation, I'm like looking through a lens, a tiny lens, which is giving me no context on the rest of the audience. But I can see here, we've established a good relationship. We've got a good mailing profile. We've got a good, strong incline at the moment. And I can then have a look at the member count timeline. Member count timeline is something, again, I feel is very important for marketeers. The blue line accounts for growth in this segment. These are new people being added into this segment. The green line is active for email. The red line active for SMS. Why that's important is for every email that I send, I get a bounce rate and an unsubscribe rate. It's fact of life, it's happening. Same for a text message. But if I'm killing data quicker than the sales team can add the data, as a marketeer, I should be worried. So I will look at this and I will say lead scores are positive, and I'll see that the green and the blue and the red line are tracking parallel together. And I would say everything looks healthy here. This account at this level on this data segment looks healthy. If that blue line was going up and the green going down, there's your problem. Data collection is weak. Your data is weak. Second thing, if this blue line was going down, your content is not hitting the mark. We need to invent more imaginative ways to talk to these people. Up here, you're spamming. You're not sending enough. Quite often we speak to people and say, yeah, we send an email once every week. Okay, to who? To what? No, we send it to everybody. Okay. Well, what about people that are engaging with you right now? What are they getting from you? Or what about people that haven't engaged with you for 6 months? Are they getting the weekly email? Yeah. Well, that's where your problem is. So it's about breaking those audiences up. And the point about automation is it does it for you. It says, these people aren't engaged, so I'll send them slowly. These people are engaged, so I'll send them this email, this email, this email. That's what it does. It's why it's so powerful. So the point that I was making here about audience segment reporting is it's the new future. It's what you look at. So the good news is we've reached the end. That's the wonderful news about this. So we're now going to move into questions. So I know that Sam's got quite a few questions that came in separately through email before, that people are going to watch this later. But before we do that, you can, if you do want to meet us on a Zoom call and talk about any specifics that you're facing, any issues that you're facing, or want to have a real look, a bit of a play with the application, you can scan this, book a demo here, and one of the team will reach out to you, and you'll speak to one of our product experts, and they can go through what you're doing now, how you're doing it now, and look at how it can be done on automation. And very often, most of the time on a demo, which lasts about 40 minutes, we can pretty much rebuild what you're doing now in automation. So that's how fast and easy it is. We can also talk about pricing. So the pricing, we've as northern folk that we are, we've priced our products to be aggressive in our marketplace. So against our comparables, we are cheaper. So but we know that. We know that that's where we positioned it. From a perspective of technical capability, our platform is an extremely highly rated application in terms of our G2 crowd reviews. And also in terms of our 4,000 users, we have a 98% client retention rate, which means that people stay. So please, you can open your smartphone and you can scan any of those things to download the slides or to book a demo. We'd love to see you on a demo and see what we can do for automation. But Sam, I believe you've got some questions for me.
Yeah, that segue is quite nice. Actually, one of the pre-submitted questions was, how many clients does Force24 have, and how long does your average client stay with you?
Okay. Super difficult for me to answer off the cuff, but one thing I do know is we've got 4,000 users with a 98% retention rate. That boils down to about 800 clients, something like that. And what we know is that the average client, the retention rate is monitored on a monthly basis. Most months, it's about 99%. In certain times of the year, it can drop as low as about 96, 97, but it's pretty much, it's always high 90s. And that's because, generally speaking, we do what you want to do. We didn't copy somebody else's product. We don't send out emails saying, hey, download these email templates, because that's what everybody else is doing. We did what marketeers want, because we ourselves are marketeers. And we did what we want. It's taken us 10 years to get to this point. We work with some of the biggest brands in the UK as well. So Michelin tires, for example, across the whole of the UK, pretty much all of Europe and certain parts of Asia. We provide all of their outbound comms, and we have done for the last 5 years. WorldPay, the payment processing application, we've worked with WorldPay now for probably 7 or 8 years or something like that. But then a plethora of hundreds of great businesses, great exciting businesses with exciting energetic marketeers, just like you guys in Leeds, in all over the country. And we've worked with you, guys like you guys for years as well. So very difficult for me to give an exact stat. So thank you for asking.
Yeah. Cool. On that vein of copying other people's platforms and stuff, there's a question come in about, how does Force24 differ from many of the big mail platforms? So MailChimp, Mailer, etc.
Okay, good question. So there's a lot of different reasons. Okay, the first one is we recognize from the off that our job and the evolution of the world was not about sending emails. Email is one of our many channels, and email is one of the many things that you can do. But in the future, that might not be the case. You might not ever use email, in which case we built and engineered our platform to be around the contact object. It's all about the contacts, and it's all about analyzing the contacts and looking at the contacts. MailChimp, for example, is trying now, desperately scrabbling to build like a CRM style data housing unit. But the problem is, it isn't. It's an ESP. It sends emails. And that's its core proposition. So I upload a spreadsheet of contacts, and then I come along and upload a spreadsheet of contacts into another list. I've got duplicates. That's not core CRM principles. Digital was in exactly the same boat and is still in exactly the same boat. They're keyed to email address. If you're keyed to email address, if you haven't got an email or you're unsubscribed as an email, you're dead to us. That's not the reality. Just because you've unsubscribed from an email means I can't email you. Doesn't mean that you're not a valid participant within my campaigns, you're not a valid customer or you're not a valid whatever. No, absolutely. So from our perspective, usability of our product has always been from our view up. We don't copy anybody else. It just so happens that we've ended up in a similar position. The training and support for me was always one of those things, because I'd be sat in our office and I'd be running some campaigns a few years ago when we were much smaller. I'd be running some campaigns. I'd be like, Brennan, come here. How do you do this? And I was like, what if our customers are like this? What if our customers need that? And that was one of those things that said, look, we've got to gear our business up to be around support. We've got to gear it up to be about delivering that passionate, helpful support that's not just about press that button, off you go. It's, what are you trying to achieve? What's your objective? Let's figure out whether there's a better way of doing it, because a lot of people move from MailChimp or HubSpot or something like that and just try and do what they were doing before. And our job is to say, look, hold on, let's play to the strengths of what we've got here. Let's do that, it's quicker. Let's do that, it's quicker. And that's how it works. So that's how we're different. We're here and we're your mates. That's how we're different.
Cool. The next question. So you talked a bit about CRM functionality there, and this is from Lucy, who's in the chat. She's from a small company, but they've got big growth plans. Essentially, the question is around, is Force24 at the core a CRM, or if not, do we integrate with other CRM platforms? And I think there's a bit of the question that alludes to around pricing and how to build the pricing structure. So can we add features on as we grow? That sort of thing.
Okay, really good question. Thank you, Lucy. So Force24 is not a CRM. We are the marketeer's friend, not the salespeople's friend. CRM is the salespeople's friend. It just so happens that our environment and our data structure is very similar to a CRM. So when it comes to integrating with CRM, it's easy peasy. It's a simple job. And the big problem that you'd find with the online mailing platforms is integration isn't easy, because I might have lots of different versions of the same contact. Which one should I unsubscribe, or should I unsubscribe all of that? It gets messy. Whereas in our environment, we embody similar principles to all the major leading CRMs. And we integrate with pretty much all of them. So off the shelf, you've got Salesforce, Microsoft Dynamics, Zoho, Pipedrive. Probably missing some really obvious ones there. But the point is, we've already crossed this bridge with 800 people before you. And we've built robust connectors that we deploy quickly and manage for you on your behalf. So there was a second part to that question, wasn't there, Sam? So
yeah, it was more about like how can we build the pricing structure as we grow. So
that was it. Yeah, sorry, I've got it. Thank you. Yeah, so the point is that part of the onboarding process, we always like to try and hold your hand as much as possible and get data flowing, because we know if we've got data flow into the CRM, we know you're well trained and your whole team is well trained. You'll use the product more and you'll stay longer. That's because we don't charge for training. There is no cost center for training. We get the money back through your loyalty, and that's how we give it away for free. So we very closely monitor this, and we've got very carefully monitored ratios for staff to clients, etc., to make sure you get in the 2-minute SLA. So in terms of how our pricing structure works is the clients buy the product, and what influences the cost to us is how many marketeers we're training and how many emails you're sending. So within our packages, so if I turn on the microsite builder into your account or your account or your account, it doesn't cost me any more money. So we just give it to you. We give you everything. So everything that we've got, you get. The limitations are, okay, how many people do you expect us to train? 3, 5, 10, 50. Brilliant. Okay, we understand how big your marketing department is. How many emails do you expect to send? And we bundle it all in and say, okay, that's the monthly. So our pricing is aggressive. So if you are using .digital and you came for a quote with Force24 alongside, it will be cheaper. If you're using Marketo, well, we know that's going to be cheaper, or whatever it may be. But we're not about trying to, well, we are about trying to save money. We're not about trying to be cheap. We're about we know what our pricing levels are. We know what affects our margin. So we charge for those bits. And that actually works in our favor, because the more emails you send, the more text messages you send, the more conversations you have, the more money you make. A lot of CRMs charge you by how many contacts you've uploaded. We don't think that's appropriate, because marketeers are then making decisions about, oh, well, we won't put those people in the automation platform. No, of course, everybody needs to be in the automation platform, but we'll only charge you for it when we're sending emails to it. And obviously we give you bundles of email allowances and credits. So you're not, it's a total shock every month. You have a fixed fee, but it will be cheaper. And that's because we don't charge in that contact cap way. So like I say, everything's included. The way that you grow in Force24 and the way that the price goes up is the level of professional services that you buy alongside the system. So to begin with, our what we call the performance pack. The performance pack includes 50,000 emails, 3 marketing users, everything that I've showed you, and loads more stuff, form builders, dynamic segmentation, wonderful, wonderful stuff. As many journeys as you want, hold up to, actually it's up to 100,000 contacts in that performance pack, starting from £249 a month. That's the bottom end. And then as you go, we are rolling more marketing users, and we also roll in more marketing support here. So we have our marketing support pack, which comes on the Marketing Pro package, which is the next one up, where imagine you're going on holiday for 2 weeks and you need somebody to make sure everything's okay. Well, that's us. Imagine that, you know, somebody goes and says, I'm handing my notice in, I'm leaving. And you need us to basically carry the can for a little while you find somebody else. You can upgrade, you can buy some services from us that will do that. And we'll know pretty much where you are. You don't have to train us on it because we know your account intimately. So we provide, and then as we go further and further and further up, all the way to a fully managed solution. So our enterprise clients like black boxes, and a black box is basically automation in a box. They don't actually want to log in, they get reports sent to them, they have briefings where we discuss what we want to do and then we execute on their behalf. So as you come further down, the only thing that's varying is the quantity of emails that you're sending and the number of people that we're training and the number of SMS messages that you're sending. So I hope that makes sense. And like I say, it should work out very cost effective in comparison to anybody else. Okay, Sam?
Oh, yeah. And then just a couple of nice general questions really to close, Adam. First one was, in your opinion, what are the main 3 things to nail when building an email?
Funny you should mention that. Actually, it's there is a very good slide that I have on this. So the actual most important thing about building an email is rationalizing. And rationalizing, Sam, which one is it in? Is it in crisis marketing?
I think it was the one.
Yeah. So I'll bring up the slide real quick and you can see it. Here we go. Sorry. Here we go. So we do a crisis marketing webinar, and it's about how we were adapting our marketing during a crisis. And let me bring this in. Okay. Now, if I turn this on, unfortunately, it'll disappear. So if I'm building an email, we believe that the artwork framework is very important because it firstly enables me to commoditize my artwork. I don't want to reinvent the wheel each time. I should absolutely be single column. Splitting the columns, creating 2 columns or 3 columns in an email disrupts the message hierarchy. Keep it a nice, simple flow. The idea of an email is it's the bait, not the full 3-course dinner. So we keep it really simple. And you remember in the old days, for a direct mail piece or a print ad, we'd have ADA, which was this sort of logical flow for a direct mail piece, which was attention, interest, desire, action. That, when digital came along, went in the bin. And we said, look, what does that actually mean now? What should it be? So we sort of broke apart the DNA of our emails, and we said, look, the top line is the interest. Yeah, we should keep that. Attention, then followed by interest, followed by action, followed by desire/trampoline. That's interesting. What does that mean? Followed by interest, followed by action. Now, let's talk about that desire/trampoline. The trampoline actually is users go down, they reach somewhere where they don't think that they're going to get value, and they can come back up to the CTA. So we bounce them down into the CTA, or set the desire as they move through back to another interest and CTA. So this science is largely made up, unfortunately, but we believe it's true from our own experience. So we can't actually say that there's any level of diligence greater than our own constant trial and error of what we're trying to do here. But we like it, and it seems to work. So the other thing with that is, once I have that framework, and by the way, we talk here about you know, how you've got no more than 10 words here, and that this all comes from our own experience about this squint test. If you put more than 10 words in, when you're squint testing it, you can't see the message, so therefore it's no good. You need to reword it. Next, no more than 2 paragraphs here. But then the next thing is the commoditization of that artwork, and the commoditization of that artwork is this. So I've built a framework, I know what works, therefore I'm not going to reinvent the wheel every time I want to come and build an email. Actually, what I'll do is I'll just update that, update my trampoline, off I go. So the user, you know, we get quite clever with our structure. So people think that we're redesigning emails every time. It's not. It's pretty much the same HTML. We've just put a new image in. We've just changed the background color, and we've just changed, obviously not the font, but we've just changed the message. So really smart if you can commoditize your artwork like that. Thank you, Sam. Anything else?
Well, yeah, the only other one that we had pre-submitted was, you talk a lot about automation. Do you see better results from automated campaigns versus manual?
Yes, yes, and yes. Why do you see automated? Is it because the mail servers work? No, exactly the same. The mail servers are exactly the same. So in theory, the email going from an automated campaign is identical to the email going from a scheduled campaign. But why would I get a better result from an automated campaign than I would? Because I have off days. Right? Automation says that I do stuff now on when I'm doing well, and I execute over the next 3 or 4 weeks. Manual says it's Wednesday, I've got to get that email out tomorrow morning. Oh, crap. And you know where that's going. So, and then some days I'm off ill, therefore I've got a backlog, and then I don't get around to it, and therefore I don't send it. Some days when I'm nailing it, which I'm never 100% nailing it, in theory they're the same. But I've just got more work to do to achieve what the automation's doing in seconds. So do I get a better response? Yes, but it's through it capturing the marketeer at the right time, getting the best from their head and distilling that genius over the period of the time, rather than expecting me every week to come up with some more genius. Also going back to that commoditization of artwork, if I'm building, I always liken it to baking cookies. If I bake a cookie, you said to me, Sam, bake me a cookie. Well, it's going to cost me £5 worth of ingredients. I've got to buy all the gear to bake a cookie. And then it's going to take me 20 minutes to bake it. Right. Now, if you said to me, bake me 5 cookies, it's still going to cost me £5 and it's still going to take me 20 minutes. Email is very much like that. If I do 1 cookie at a time, it's really slow and really inefficient. If I take 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 emails in one go, I can duplicate, just as I showed on the previous slide with the commoditization of the artwork. I just tweak. Now, you could say I could do that every week. But let me tell you, when the whole week has passed, when I've got to sit down and have another coffee, I've got to think about it, I've got to open up this machine, all of those inefficiencies go. So I absolutely think that you get a better result from your marketeer, therefore you get a better result from the audience when you use automation.
Awesome.
Thank you very much. Okay, are there any other questions that anybody would like to ask? No, I think we're about good. Just a second, let me open that chat. Okay, perfect, guys. Well, look, I think you've got 35 minutes of your day back. So go run wild and be free for 35 minutes until the next Leeds Digital Festival thing starts with whoever's next. So thank you all for joining. We're going to send to everybody that joined and everybody in the list a copy of this webinar. So hopefully see you all again soon. All the best and goodbye.